Hey gang, John Bacarella here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report brought to you by Sportsmen's Direct. So the weather has been horrible. Since the last report, I don't think the water temperature's moved at all. I mean, we've got 51 degrees down at Belle Isle, and some of the highest temperatures I heard up on the lake right now are like 55 degrees, maybe in some areas around the mile roads. But basically the temperature has been flat to actually gone down a little bit. So a lot of the fish that were up in, and you remember I was showing you pictures a couple of weeks ago of fish cutting, already cutting beds, but I think that a lot of that has stopped. I've heard guys even over in Muscatine talking about that they could see where the fish had been cutting, but there were no fish there. So, and there was a lot of pressure over there in the moot. So a lot of those fish have pulled off, I think, right now with the lower water temperatures. So it's kind of slowed things down. So for you guys that have been coming up, or we're planning on coming up for smallmouths that were afraid that you were going to maybe, miss that shallow bite spawning fish, you haven't missed anything yet. It still hasn't happened, and it's probably really not going to happen until we get some stable, warm temperatures in here. So with that said, there are guys that are fishing smallmouths all through the lake right now. Probably the most consistent bite on the smallies that I've been hearing is down in the lower part of the lake, down in the, the Grosse Pointe area. I call it the rock flats, all down around the Delphine from the yacht club down to the river. And they're also picking up a lot of walleyes, as you can imagine, down there as well too. They are getting fish in the mile roads. I mean, it's with the dirty water and the high water that we've had, it's been spotty for a lot of guys. A lot of guys are throwing swim baits out there, still throwing lipless cranks and blade baits. But I think there's been a lot more guys fishing swim baits this week. And also some of the guys have started the drop shot and slow things down a little bit. So it's not hot and heavy by any means this week, but the next warm snap we get, all heck's going to break loose on those fish because the water's going to tick up a couple of degrees and activity level is going to go up. So now the walleye. The walleye are up in the St. Clair River. They've been going pretty good up there, but it's kind of been the same thing up there. It's been on one day, off the next day, fish moving around, so there's been nothing crazy consistent, although the shore guys have really been getting in on it a little bit more during this last week. So St. Clair River, it's going, guys, and it's gonna, it's probably gonna get a little bit better as it warms up, but the weather's been keeping a lot of guys off the water. Now down here on the lake, we do have a lot more fish from Metro all the way down to the Detroit River. The bass guys are catching walleyes almost every trip out. I'm hearing about it every day in here. We just had a customer in that was catching, he got a limit of walleyes fishing for bass on blade baits. So, there's a ton of walleyes along the shoreline in that dirtier water. Out in that 8 to 10 foot area is probably been the highest percentage area, although I know there's a lot of fish in tighter, but that water is really dirty. So that 8 to 10 foot range has had kind of that off-colored water. You got a little bit of visibility for those fish to home in on crankbaits or whatever you want to throw at them right now, but there's definitely a lot of fish in that 8 to 10 foot range, and I venture to say all the way from Metro all the way down. Not a whole lot going on the perch action that I've been hearing about, or a lot of the other panfish action. The weather's been just too lousy, lots of rain and east winds. We got an east wind blowing out there right now. Every time we get an east wind now on this shoreline, we're going to probably have flood warnings up. So that's just where we are with the high water. So more salmon, I guess, up by Lexington still going on. I mean, I know that's a ways for you guys to go, but I just thought I'd throw it in there in case you guys are interested. White bass report, I think they've slowed down a little bit. These colder temperatures way down in the lower part of the river, I guess they got them pretty good, but they really haven't moved up heavy up in the Detroit area yet up on this north end. So the cold weather is going to slow those guys down as well too. Now we did get several reports earlier this week of a new fresh run of walleyes into the Detroit River, and I'm talking big fish, the 25 to 30 inch class. Everybody was shocked earlier this week down there, or I should say late this weekend, with these big fish all of a sudden that showed up. These are big hens that are not spawned out yet. Now maybe by this weekend some of those fish will be spawned out, but I can tell you there was a nice push of fresh big fish up into the river, and that's really not normal. Normally those big fish are early, and then you get into these smaller fish, and then that's usually it. But man, some really nice big fish showed up in the river. So if you guys are still hunting for a trophy fish, you don't have to give up hope. There are still big fish in the system right now. With all that said, guys, all we can do is pray for some better conditions. this weekend, you know, the reports are kind of all over the place what we're going to see. Some are saying some rain, and you know, who knows what we're going to get. All you can do is check radar and check those conditions, you know, within 24 to 48 hours, and we'll just hope for the best, and hope everything busts loose here with the next stable weather pattern we get. We'll talk to you again later. If you guys like these fishing reports, hit that little bell icon for the subscribe button, and you'll get updated as soon as these reports come out. You have a great one.